How to survive the Antichrist, Great Tribulation, and God's Wraith. To survive all three, one have to start by taking the most important of all actions, accepting Jesus Christ. Know and thrive to keep all the teachings he gave during his time on earth as recorded in the Gospel of Luke, Mark, Matthew, and John. One has to reject any teaching that does not align with those Gospels. Any teaching that promotes hatred of any soul God created should be rejected. Jesus said the Golden Commandment is loving God and loving your neighbor, and said that all scriptures, law, and prophets hang on these three. In 1 John 4 verse 20, Jesus said, if someone says, I love God, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? In Matthew 7 verse 22, Jesus said he will reject many believers who did many great works in his name simply because they did not love some souls he created. Ephesians 6 verse 12 says, for we wrestle not against blood and flesh, but against rulers and principalities of darkness. Even if you suffer through the great tribulations, get persecuted by the Antichrist, if you keep teachings of Christ, you will enter the kingdom of heaven dead or alive, and you will be spared from the wrath of God that will come towards the end of the 7-year rule of the Antichrist. The second most important thing is identifying the Antichrist. Knowing the teachings of Christ on earth will allow you to identify the lawson and the false prophets who come in the name of Christ to lead the world away from Christ unto the altar of Satan by idolizing the Antichrist. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 13 says, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. 14. And no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. 15. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works. In Matthew 24:15, Mark 13:14, Jesus said that great tribulation start when Antichrist seed in the third temple and demand worship. About 3.5 years after that day, Jesus returns to gather his elect and judge the world. The entire Old and New Testament has so many chapters warning of the Antichrist. The entire book of Daniel is all about Antichrist. Why is he important? He has to come to test the faith of mankind before Jesus returns. Those who are rooted in the word will endure to the end. In Matthew 13 verse 20, Jesus said, but he who received the seed on stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy, yet he has no root in himself, but endures only for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. The Bible says those who follow the Antichrist will be cast in the lake of fire. That is why it's important to identify him so you don't follow blindly. Subscribe for part 2 to 33.